can see it now. The birth of our first child. Sarah and I, as excited as any two parents can be. We're surrounded by our family and friends when there's a knock on the door. My papa peeks his head through the crack of the door as a warm smile runs like syrup across his face. He asks to hold the baby while we take a photo. Sarah and I beam as he meets our perfect little bundle. That's what family does. They show up. But the sad truth is, he won't be there, but his absence is not by choice. My papa was something special. His charisma was magical. He was self-taught in several different languages and could draw a crowd by tickling the ivories. He had a way of making you feel like you were his everything. He never met a stranger and exuded that same spirit in us as children. I was his shadow, and he was my hero. My papa was born in 1937 in Berlin, and when he was just a toddler, his father and uncle went to a bar for a nightcap. They expressed their disdain over the atrocities that Hitler was involved in. And the next day, my father's family was on the list. His grandfather borrowed an SS soldier's uniform, took his sisters to a convent, and my papa and his mother to the Russian border. They were on the run for 7 years until Germany was liberated. His childhood was spent hiding in the shadows and prowling for food. He survived a hell that few people would understand. So it's no wonder why everyday life that we take for granted meant so much to him. Growing up, I remember my papa took pictures of everything. I've come to realize that he wanted to capture these elusive moments of normality, not only for us, but for himself. So album after album, roll after roll, he documented each day of our lives ferociously, never leaving a scrap that time could claim as forgotten. Each time I look at those photos, it takes me back to a time when all that mattered is that we had each other. May 16th, 1986 is a day that forever changed me. The night before was uneventful. My brother and sister and I engaged in our normal shenanigans and settled down after a family dinner. Papa had asked me if I was going to play hooky from school the next day. Now, he would allow this only because it was a very special day, his birthday. I was struggling for perfect attendance at school and told him that I had to go. He chuckled as I kissed him goodnight. I love you, Papa. I love you too, he said. If I would have known what the morning would bring, I would have never closed my eyes that night. Chaos shattered the morning as I was awakened by screams. My father had suffered a massive heart attack. My brother desperately tried to resuscitate him. Hans Nieschalk died on his birthday. And the irony is still so great, it haunts me to this day. I can remember my mama telling me that Papa was in heaven now. And I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of her mouth. Time stood still, my reality crashing into a brick wall. Even at 13, I felt compelled to help my mom through the hard parts. She had no one else. My sister was only 8, and my brother was still traumatized by my father dying in his arms. To this day, he's never been the same. My aunt and uncle offered for us to come up to Boston for the summer. It was a welcome escape from reality. And a few weeks later, when we returned home, I started to piece together that the family didn't call or write anymore. I didn't understand why. When I turned 16, I asked my mom about it. And as she always does, she told me the truth. After my father's passing, his mother and brother never called or wrote. And that infamous trip to Boston, well, that was a trip that they expected full compensation for. To add insult to injury, they also wanted more money for my dad's life insurance policy to cure their own financial ruin. You know, I would have given anything to hear about my father, to have had family, for my mom to have had somebody when she needed it the most. I guess for them to have shown up. Depression is something that I have always struggled with, even as a child. All my life I've heard, what's wrong? Well, how can I tell you when it's everything? Living in a world where sadness is the mark that you carry sometimes makes you strange and misunderstood. I've self-medicated through alcohol binges and even contemplated suicide on numerous occasions. I've learned to recognize some of my triggers. Sometimes I can actually ignore them. Truth is, most people don't know what to do for someone like me. Neither do I. I've always wondered if my father was there to protect me during all this. God knows somebody was watching over me. I've always known that I was different. I can't tell you the first girl that I had a crush on, but I can remember being devastated when a friendship with a girl would end. In hindsight, maybe these were broken hearts to attractions that I didn't quite understand. I had no idea what I was seeing or feeling, but I knew this much. It wasn't what everybody else considered to be normal. It finally happened. I met a girl and I could no longer deny that I was having romantic feelings for her. I was gay. My fear was rejection from my family. They're all I had. I knew the first person I had to tell was my mom. I was so scared. I can remember telling her to sit down and that there was something that I had to tell her. And I was stumbling through sentences that didn't make any sense. And then finally she said, "My God, Mary Jo, what is it?" I closed my eyes, blurted out, "Mama, I think I'm gay." Her reaction? "My God, Mary Jo, I thought you were going to tell me that you killed somebody, like it was something bad." And that was it. It was as simple as that. My brother wasn't fazed at all. My sister cried for me. She had seen friends of hers suffer at the hands of the ignorant and had no doubt that I had the same fate in store for me. I would like to think, no, I'm certain. If my father had been there, his reaction would have been just as loving as my mom's. You see, I've come to realize something about myself. No matter how many years have passed, where my life has taken me, where it will continue to take me, there's still a large part of me that's a 13-year-old girl that misses her father. The truth is, there is one special place that my father continues to show up, in my dreams. I can remember the first time it happened. It was not too long after we had moved from the house he had passed in, and I was missing him terribly. We all were. And one night I had dreamt that I had walked out into our new backyard. And there he was, hanging laundry on the line. I ran to him as fast as my feet would carry me. And the harder that my legs pumped, the further away he seemed. And then he just smiled and waved, as if to say, "Don't worry, I'm here with you." I didn't tell anybody about that dream for a little while because I didn't want to upset anybody, but one night over dinner I felt compelled to tell my mom about it. I'll never forget this. A few words in my recollection, she seemed stunned. You see, she had had the very same dream, the very same night. Even in death, Papa found a way. Of course he did. I still have these dreams. They're everlasting moments in which time stands still, and I wish for the morning not to come. My wife, Sarah, has always been pleased in a whatever makes you happy makes me happy kind of way when I've told her about these dreams. That was until it happened to her. One morning last year, Sarah told me that I should sit down, that she had something to tell me. She had recalled the most wonderful dream that she had had the night before. Papa had come to her. He showed her pictures of a photo album, in a photo album he had been working on, and it was filled with photos that Sarah wasn't present for, straight to his passing, to present day. He said he wanted us both to know how proud he was of us. He even called Sarah a knockout. Now that's something that only my father would say. He showed up. Even across time and space, he showed up to show his love and support to the biggest skeptic of them all. Of course he did. So, I can see it now. The birth of our first child. Sarah and I as excited as any two parents can be. We're surrounded by our family and friends. But Papa, you won't knock on the door. You won't get to hold the baby while I take a photo. I won't get to see you. But you will be there. I know you will. You always find a way to show up.